done this in screw presses before with a failure. That is, it tended to blind the screens, and nothing would go in and nothing would come out. It would just sit there and churn in the press with a lot of, once we did get it going, the solids coming through the screen were too great to be acceptable for a water treatment plant. What we're going to try here today is we have a lab press, which is a very complicated machine over here. I'll show you in a minute. What we're going to start out with is we have a model of a Bennett screen. We'll try some dewatering in this Bennett screen, but mostly we'll use it to mix a press aid in with the tortilla corn mix. Primary press aid we're looking at is cottonseed hulls. We also have some ground wood from Weyerhaeuser, a material called Silvacell. The cottonseed hulls look like this, and the Silvacell looks like this, fibrous materials. The Bennett screen, most of them are at least twice the size of this, at least 12 inches. Most of them have a perforated, rather a wedge wire screen in the bottom. That is, we're looking, the material comes in at this end. We have a screen down here under a pan and a discharge that normally goes into a screw press at this end. At the end where the material goes in, we have a screw. This one has a notch screw so we can mix a press aid in with it. We now use, tend to use UHMW instead of nylon for the brush. In fact, we use an edging instead of a brush to wipe the screen. This is we can focus that there's a 1 millimeter, no, half millimeter, 20,000 screen down there. And we've tried a couple different wipers in this lab prototype of a Bennett screen. So we're going to use it today. We may dewater with it. I don't expect to. There's a drain down here. The way that pan's on there, we probably won't get any liquid out of there. But at least it will mix in the press aid. The press we're going to use is at least this portion you're looking at here is a conventional press. Inlet hopper, a little bit larger than usual. There's a screen behind that cover, another screen behind this cover, and the press cake solids come out at this end. Back pressure is created by a cone in here with an air cylinder. You can see the air going in at that point to force this cone that we're looking at right here into position. I'll run this, you can see some of the screen in the background there. Yep, that ran the cone in. Got the covers off this press. Inlet has a screen. On the less expensive presses, we've eliminated that. This is essentially a VP series press. CP series doesn't have it. Here we have a wedge wire screen. That's normally characteristic of just the CP series. The slot on this one is extremely fine, like 5/1000ths of an inch. And that usually we talk 15 to 20 thousandths normal on the screen on a press like this. The 5/1000ths type thing would be reserved for a Bennett screen, but that's what we're working with today. I'll pour some of this in and we'll see if it just doesn't blind and not make any progress. We're getting some water out there. We're getting water out. Dirty water coming through there. Here's the material in the inlet hopper. This has only been in there a few seconds. You can see the screw turning, and I can smell this. It smells like a little bit sour. So it's feeding into the press at this point. We're getting some dewatering. Cone pressure is set on a minimal. We're down. I set this. I better give it a little pressure. There, a couple psi, 510 psi. Okay, it's been going a few minutes now. Still water coming out of the screen. Most of it is fed through the hopper. No press cake coming out. I'll put in the rest of a 5-gallon pail. That's what's going on in the inlet hopper. go get a mason jar and collect some of this liquid. A little bit in the free water falls out in this area. I was surprised down here. Okay, that's just coming through the cone. That's just leakage. We haven't formed a plug yet to get the machine going. There's a third area we could collect fresh liquor in this machine, and it's dry as a bone. This is liquid that comes through the screen on the cone. That is, liquor can travel through this, through here, and come down in a pan here. I wouldn't expect anything to come out here, and we haven't got anything so far. It's churning in here, and we're getting a little bit of dewatering. And no press cake, despite the fact that we've got almost no air pressure on there. As predicted, the screw press has blinded, and we're operating a zilch for capacity. We're making water that's pretty dirty. It's been going about 5 minutes now. There's a little bit of effort going on here for some press cake to come out. I've only got 5 gallons in here, but if I put another 5 in, it wouldn't get anywhere. You can see we still have some material going around here in the inlet hopper. What we've done is to take the cover off this Bennett screen, and you can see the underside here. We'll see what happens when we run this. I've got this going ahead of the microphone. Just threw in a bunch. And some dewatering, some press cake coming out. Here's what it looks like going in through here. Back in the screen area. You can see the screen down there is being wiped clean. We'll make a vertical configuration of this machine too, much higher capacity. It's on the drawing board, don't have one to show you. About 3 gallons so far. Here's the other 2 gallons. We get quite a bit of dewatering here. Not really. The water content in these pails is minimal. Not enough dewatering to make things worthwhile. Water sample fairly well laden. Another quart or 2 in here. This one's operating nearly horizontal. Normally Bennett screens at about 12 degrees, and as I said, we have them almost vertical. Okay, next step, what we're going to do is mix some press aid by weight in with this material and see where we end up. Be looking for a couple, I may go heavy, put in say 3% by weight, just to accentuate any effect it might have. Running 15 minutes, and to my surprise, the press started forming press cake on its own accord. We'll have to take moisture analysis of this stuff. This is, we didn't do a thing, just abandoned the machine. I assume, yep, so I'll be darned. See how much liquid we got. We've got probably 1.5 gallons in there, negligible free water, and we'll have to scoop up this and see how much we get out. So it did do something. We'll take a liquid sample also. All the press cake is coming through one point. You notice on the left nothing's coming out. Start my rotating cone option. You can see the cone is now rotating In a way, what we had was channeling. All the material was channeling out of one spot. The rotating cone prevents that. We do have some air pressure on here, very little. Curious. Take a big press. We'll run moisture analysis and see what we got. This is some press aid. I poured the press liquor back in, or that's the water that came out of the Bennett screen. We had about 2 pounds of water in the Bennett screen out of a 36-pound sample that went through. It might be closer to 40 pounds we put into the Bennett screen. There's a lot sitting in there. Anyway, what we've got in the pail here is a net 34 pounds, and we're going to put in 1 pound of these cottonseed hulls. Corn with about 1 pound of cottonseed hulls stirred in. We're going to run it through the Bennett screen. We don't expect anything to happen, but more curiosity than anything else. Muck coming through the screen. Need to save some of this, get inbound press tape moisture. First test where we ran the raw material as received through the press. Took a long time to run it through. We got 14 pounds net of material and 15 pounds net of liquid. That's a real surprise. We've grabbed a sample of the liquid. Pretty dirty stuff. But we did get a surprising separation at a very low throughput rate in the press. Resuming test number 2, where we have the material with a 3% press cake. We're going to dump it in the press. There's still material left in the press from test number 1, where we had no press aid. Let her rip. Still free water coming out. This water is murky. We're still at the inlet section, getting a liquid to progressively go further down, come out from further downstream. I'm surprised to see that stuff coming out here in the inlet section. This is a 3/8 reinforcing screen against a 1 millimeter mesh. It's for apples. Press cake, I still have the cone going. Starting to see maybe a little bit of press aid. So this is mostly residual material from the first test coming out. Okay. See what's going on in here. Oh, it fed through. Very little churning. It kept on moving. You remember from the previous test that I came back 5-10 minutes later and there was still a chunk of material in here churning around. Barely a few seconds there. You can see the press cake coming out here with the cottonseed hull. Get the cone drive off. Cone not rotating. coming out fairly uniformly all the way around, not evidence of channeling. If this ever did lead to an application, we'd try to avoid the use of a rotating cone. Rotating cone's got a motor up here and a gearbox to drive the cone. It's expensive and makes the machine more complicated. It's required in grapes, prunes, things like that. Okay, we're looking good enough here. We'll take some results from this test, and then we'll use some of our remaining sample to run it through again a little more carefully. Start of test number 3. We've got the press turned off. We've got 80 pounds of material. I think there's 60 already in there and another 20 in a bucket right here. We've 82 and a half pounds. We started with 80 pounds of material, 2.5 pounds of press cake, of press aid, cottonseed hulls. This will be a timed test. We're set up and ready to go. Oh, we've have material in the press. We just have to shut it off before it all, when it gets to the same conditions. A little bit of gut feel on the shut-off point. Test number 3 in progress. As soon as we started the screw, we started getting dewatering from the inlet hopper. We didn't have that before we started the screw. Material seems to be going down. Look at that. Okay, it's not bridging. I've got to get the other bucket. Okay, still test number 3 in progress. There's sample jars and samples of press cake. Material is feeding reasonably well. Dewatering in the inlet hopper. Not much in the right-hand side of the screen. Press cake coming out normal. Solids build up on the surface of the screen. The press cake material. This is with 3% press aid mixed in. With test number 3. Here we have some turning of the material. There it is. That is, the screw is pushing the material to the right, and at the top here we will see it consistently moving to the left. It's gradually working its way down. The more turning you have, the lower capacity. We could put, say, for example, double flighting down there where you see single flighting, and that would reduce the turning. A lower compression screw also. Press from test number 3. You can see there's no liquor coming through anymore. Still press cake working its way out. We put in 82 pounds. What we got out was very close to an even 50 pounds of pressed cake and an even 25 pounds of pressed liquor in an even 7 minutes. Yeah, that can be worked out. Through almost 10 pounds a minute, which would be 600 pounds an hour. 10% more than that, 660 pounds an hour. Press rating is 2,500, so we're going to be operating at 30% of press rating. Not bad for stuff like this. Got our water samples over here. We'll see if we can run anything with them, but just the suspended solids that you can see there may preclude the whole thing. Been an interesting test. Okay, about an hour later, this is the sample of liquid we got when we just ran the material through the press without any press aid. Second test and third test. Notice that it's now an hour and a half later, and didn't get any settling in 2 of the jars, and distinctly different type settling in the other drawer. We'll see if we can't run some solids tests on this tomorrow and Not sure how that'll turn out, but we'll give it a shot. Factory's closing down for the evening, end of another 10-hour day. This is a dryer, part of a dryer that we're putting together. Going to ship that out of here soon. I hope it's for Cargill, drying some sort of animal feed product. Superchargers for larger presses. This is a vertical one. It's destined for Holland. Horizontal, destined for Brazil. Screw in a lathe, turning the OD. Another screw here. Cones for some larger presses. These will have perforated screen. Here's one with a solid face. Stainless steel is so expensive they come gift wrapped now. I don't think I'm exaggerating. Bearings for some larger presses. Here's the Brazilian presses coming along. 22-inch presses. And a variety of stuff going on today. End of the day.